This is kind of embarrassing because I didn't realize this was a roast. So I don't really have any jokes. When I was invited, it said birthday and wake, so I thought he actually died. So I wrote a eulogy instead. So, I mean, who else thought he died? Because someone else had a thought. I mean, 50 years old, that's pretty old.
Hell yeah.
I think most people die when they're 50. Don't they? Pretty close. So Scott's alive, yay! On the positive side, though, I already have his eulogy written for when he does die, which is probably going to be pretty soon. So I'm covered. So it's, unfortunately, since he's still alive, it's probably not appropriate to do his full eulogy. I'll wait on that one. So I'm gonna go over some of the highlights in the eulogy that I brought up. And Scott, just so you know, I wrote a huge list of nice things in the eulogy, showing what an amazing person you are. And some of those things were actually true. So, for instance, in here I said, you were kind to animals. You know, that's very true. You donate to charities. This is true. And as far as we know, you have never molested a child. Well, until you met Bria. So. And in the eulogy, I wrote about his career, that wonderful site, Dribble Glass, the beautiful work he's done with the camera. As many of you know, Scott's done some child pornography. Photography, child photography. That was slip of the tongue. He does not take naked pictures of children. They're fully clothed. It's just It's just that Scott's naked while taking a photo, so that. But he's an artist. He's an artist. They can do that sort of stuff. To make it more believable that I cared about Scott, in the eulogy I actually wrote down in here that I was gonna fake cry. Like I was gonna. It's written right here. It says, "I told myself I wasn't gonna do this," and I was gonna wipe my tears and all. But it's kind of pointless. It was believable though. Like in the eulogy, I practiced. It looked like I really did care about you being dead. So, and I was told, like I went on the the interweb, and it said in a eulogy you're supposed to write about the time you met or reminisce about old stories. So okay, I met Scott through a group called Mandatory Friends. They used to do improv at Bourbon Street. Of course, Matt was one of them. One of those kind of funny. Now, Scott not only went to the shows, he often performed and occasionally was funny. He used to do this hilarious old man character. It was just spot on. Like he had to walk down. He had the voice. How old was that character?
50.
Yeah. How ironic is that you are now the age of the character you used to perform? I was going to go ahead and tell about all these other characters you did during improv, but I think that was the only character you did. Was like every scene was just the old man. All right. Now, in this actual eulogy, I wrote out a bunch of great stories, but in the essence of time, I'm not going to go through all the stories. However, there is one I left out on purpose that I would never do in a eulogy. I would never do around a bunch of his loved ones, especially after he died, because this is the only time I've ever seen Scott angry of a prank that was pulled on him. So if you didn't know, Scott's an avid Amazon user. Do you recall the story? Yes. Just check it, because you're smiling right now, and normally whenever this is brought up, you're not smiling. So he uses the Amazon wish list. If you're not familiar with the wish list, it allows a very cheap person to share lists of items they want others to purchase for them. So there was a lot of items that Scott listed. This was quite a few years back. And Scott happened to email this list to our friend Brandon. And there was a technological glitch, which for some reason allowed Brandon to access the list as it was Scott. So Scott did what any good friend would do. He contacts another friend, happened to be me, and we decided to spice up the list a little bit. So we noticed on the list there was nothing about gay porn or things you stick in your butt. So we added things like butt plugs, books about gay men, hemorrhoids, hemorrhoid cream. What else we added? Just a lot of good stuff. And then, what's that? Oh. And eventually it got taken down. It was there for a few days, and suddenly everything was completely gone. So Brandon and I decided to be nice, and we decided that, okay, you know what? We're not going to put the stuff back up there. So instead, we decided to put up material that made him look like he was going to kill himself, and which I thought was not quite as mean. Like, books on how to kill yourself, like 8 or 9 of them, a stool, a rope, and similar devices. But it wasn't, when I say we were doing it, it was actually Brandon, because he had the access. So we were corresponding through email. And then eventually Brandon messed up and sent Scott an email that was supposed to go to me and said, hey Matt, let's do this next. And Scott was probably mad at us for like 5 years. So, and the funny thing is, driving up here, Brandon calls me and he goes, hey, guess what? Remember that Amazon wish list? We also did a bunch of reviews where we reviewed all the items as Scott, like, oh, this is the best anal fist toy that I've ever used. There was a bunch of reviews, so Scott deleted all of them, apparently but one. So when you guys go home tonight, go look for Scott Robin and Amazon and his reviews. Because there's a review up there that's an anal toy. And it says, my new best friend, as Scott called it. Scott gave it 5 stars. And it says, I don't know how I ever live without this. I love it and use it every day. Highly recommended, A++++++++++++. And 7 out of 12 people found the review helpful. So before Scott gets home, do a Google search for Scott Robin and Amazon and check out his reviews, because he does a great review of an anal butt plug. It's very nice. In all seriousness, Scott, you're a great person. You always want to help people out, and you are very funny, and I love reading your shit online. So to make up for all the Amazon pranks we pulled on you, I went ahead and I got you. Since we abused your Amazon wish list, I went ahead and bought you something that was on your wish list. Tux medicated hemorrhoid pads. Granted, we actually put it on your list, but still.
Good job, Matty. One more time, that's Matt Loudway. Give him a round of applause.